What's up, everyone? My name is Ethan. This is Courtside TV. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. So today, I wanted to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently up 2-0 in their series against the Miami Heat, and looking like they're well on their way to a victory now. Obviously, things are still up in the air. Who knows if they're actually going to win the series or not? But being up 2-0 is a great sign, and they were dominant, especially in Game 2. They were just completely, they ran the Heat off the floor. So, kind of wanted to talk about Milwaukee, the situation that they're in right now, being up 2-0, and just how deep of a playoff run that this team can make. So, obviously, these two teams played last year, right? And we know how that went. I kind of talked about that at length in the series preview video that I did about a week ago, just kind of breaking down this series. And so I won't, repeat myself too much here, but it's not a great matchup for Milwaukee. At least it wasn't last year, and a lot of people figured that they would lose it again, just like they did last season, because the Heat have personnel that is really capable of kind of exploiting a lot of the things that Milwaukee is great at. So, for them to be up 2-0 in this series already, whereas last year they lost in 5. So already they've done better than last season, because last season they only won 1 game in that series, and this year they've already got 2. So they've already made an improvement, and, if they are going to lose this series, it will likely be in 7 games, because I don't see them losing 4 in a row to this Heat team. So this is going to be, I still think it's going to be a competitive series. I still think it's going to be close. Miami is going to punch back. I have absolute faith in that. But for them to take the first 2 games at home, and to look as dominant as they did in Game 2 is certainly a good sign for things moving forward. So if we want to talk about how Milwaukee has done this and looked so good so far this postseason, is because, specifically in Game 2, it was really hot shooting early, which kind of put them ahead, and they stayed ahead, right? Like, the three-point shooting didn't end up, in the end, actually being, like, super crazy. Like, yeah, they shot above average, and they made more threes than usual, but they really cooled off in the second half. But by that point, it didn't really matter, just because they were already up 30, and so they had pretty much already won the game from the jump, right? And we know what happened in the first quarter, where Brent Forbes hit like 4 threes, and Pat Connaughton hit 2 of them, and, Giannis hit a 3, and they were all, going off and playing super well, playing tight together, and their defense was swarming the Heat there. Jimmy Butler has had an awful start to this series. He has not shot well at all. Part of that is just him being cold. Part of that is the way that the Bucks are defending him, as well as Bam Adebayo has not played super well so far. They haven't really had anybody like Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic. Really, nobody has really stepped up and been able to have a good couple of games here. Now, obviously, the Heat did take that first game to overtime, which was, a great play by Jimmy Butler there to tie it late, and they ended up losing on a Chris Middleton jumper. So that was a super close game, and that's, more indicative of how a lot of people thought this series was going to go. Game 2 was just a lot of hot shooting by the Bucks that kind of demoralized the Heat early. The Heat offense was just not in sync at all, and a lot of that is the way that Milwaukee is defending them. And it's still going to be tough to finish off the series against Miami, because the Heat are just a super good team. They're well coached, they're tough-minded, and we saw them make that run to the finals last year, and they dealt with that adversity, and they've been there before now. So the Heat, I am not expecting them to get swept. I'm not expecting them to lose in 5. I think they're going to get at least 2 games. I would expect them to come out and win Game 3, just because I feel like this team is too tough to go out this way. But, regardless, hoping, or for Milwaukee's sake, they're hoping that they can get this series over with and move along. And if they do that, then that'll put them in a pretty good position, because they obviously lost to this Heat team last year, like I already said, and they weren't able to get past the Raptors the year before that. And this is a team that had the best record in the league, and Giannis being the reigning MVP 2 times over, and just being this great regular season team, but just running into a wall in the postseason every single year. Them being able to beat the team that they lost to last year would be a great opportunity for them to gain some momentum going into the later rounds of the playoffs. And if they win this series, they will likely have to play the Brooklyn Nets. Now, obviously, the Nets have not beat the Celtics yet, but I kind of talked about this yesterday. It's looking like it's going to be a sweep, or maybe 5 for the Brooklyn Nets here in the first round. I would fully expect them to advance. And so if they do, then it would be Bucks-Nets in the second round, and that is going to be a doozy of a series. And, a lot of people have the Nets picked as their favorite in the Eastern Conference, and I certainly think there's merit for that. I believe that this Milwaukee team can give them trouble, especially if they're playing like the way that they have recently, just because they have so many guys on this team that could potentially get hot, and they have a lot of switchable defenders as well. Like, their 3 stars, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis, are all, they can guard multiple positions, switch out on the perimeter, and make life hard on some of the Nets stars, because obviously Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, you're not going to ever stop those guys. Those guys are three of the best offensive players in the league and also in the history of the NBA, those three. So very, very potent offensively, and we know how devastating they can be. We've seen it all year long. But Milwaukee does have the personnel to limit them on that side of the ball, right? They have these switchable defenders on the wings that are able to, swallow people up with size and be able to stay strong on the post and be able to just do a good job defensively on these guys and tire them out and make it, harder for them to score at times and tire them out for defensive purposes, right? Tire them out on offense, then they don't have as much energy to give on defense, so the Bucks can easier score that way. It's kind of this whole back and forth, but I do think that with the personnel that Milwaukee has, they have as good of a shot as anybody in the Eastern Conference to knock off the Nets and potentially pull off that upset. And so if we do get that in the second round, I think I still would probably pick Brooklyn to win, but it could be a series that definitely goes like 7 games and is really, really tight, because if the Bucks are able to really make this run and start off by beating the Heat, gaining that momentum going into the later rounds of the playoffs, I think that really sets them up for an exciting postseason run, just because, beating the team that already beat you last year and doing it convincingly would be a great, great way for them to start off their playoffs. So I don't know, like I said, I still think the Heat are going to punch back, and I don't think this is going to be a quick series. I think we're going to at least 6 is my opinion still, even after seeing the way that the Heat were beat in that last game. But who knows, right? Maybe the Bucks take care of them quickly, and maybe it ends up going a long time. I have no idea. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Game 3 tonight. Should be fun, and we'll see what happens in the series moving forward. But I still would pick the Bucks to win. I picked them to win before the series, and I think they are definitely going to. But don't underestimate Miami, because they're going to punch back. But regardless, this is a very, very good start to the playoffs for the Bucks, and they have proven to themselves, they have proven to everybody, but most importantly, they have proven to themselves that they can do this, and that makes them scarier just in itself. So yeah, I think that's about all I have on this Heat Bucks series and the direction it's trending. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, ring that bell if you want to, leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about this series. Is Milwaukee going to make a deep postseason run? Can they beat Brooklyn if they advance? How many games are they going to have to go with Miami to beat them? Or are the Heat going to make a comeback? Would love to hear your thoughts down below. But yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.